Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and today I have a 2005 Toyota Corolla. Today we are going to be replacing the right rear hub assembly. Now this one is an aftermarket Moog part, and the one that I'm replacing, I replaced it about 10 years ago, and it's been about roughly 120,000 kilometers on that one, so I guess I'm replacing it again. So I mentioned in one of my previous videos I was doing the rear drum brakes on this one, and I noted that the wheel bearing was very stiff and hard to turn, and so it was kind of seizing up. So anyhow, I got this part. This one has the ABS sensor on it, but this vehicle does not have ABS because this part was the only part I was able to find that the store had in stock. So I'm just using this. There's no harm in using one that has the ABS on it. It won't really matter. So anyhow, I'm just going to jack the vehicle up in the air, and I'll take you through the process. So now I have the wheel off. Take off the drum. In my previous video, I mentioned that it was making some noise and it was a bit hard to turn. So there are a total of 4 bolts here. They are 12 millimeters. So I need to remove all 4 bolts. So after you remove all of the 4 bolts, grab yourself a hammer and pray, and hopefully it will come out with only a few whacks. Now, if a hammer does not work after you whacked it a lot, you can also use an air hammer and get into the corner here. But I have a special tool that I have. I'm just going to use that, and hopefully it will just come out then. I'm just using an old set of lug nuts, spare uh, lug nuts that I don't need. So make sure you don't use the one that came off the vehicle. You make sure you use like a spare old one, because the old ones are going to get damaged if you're going to use this tool. Grab the BFH hammer and start whacking. Backing plate came out, but the hub is stuck onto the backing plate. You'll need to get something like a block of wood or something to support the backing plate and the brake line, so that you're able to separate the hub and the backing plate, because they are stuck together right now. So right now I'm supporting the backing plate with a couple blocks of wood, and I have the drum hiding behind it for a little bit of support. And so now I need to separate the hub along with the backing plate. So if it's too rusted, worst case scenario, I'll need to torch it up with some heat to separate it. We'll see on what happens though if it separates with only a few whacks. So I'm gonna try to support the backing plate at the same time, trying to whack this out, see if I'm able to get the hub out. Oh, it's moving. See how it's moving? You need to keep on whacking it until it comes out. In a lot of cases, this does not work. Usually you'll need to heat it up for some time around here, around the surface, and then you keep on hammering it out. And you can also use a hammer, an air hammer, if you want. Just got to be careful to support the brake line here. There you go. It's out. This is the old hub. Now I just need to clean out the surfaces, clean all the rust and stuff here. So now we are going to clean the surfaces here. You can also use a wire brush and some sandpaper and just go in there as well. You don't want to grind too much of the metal off. Just use a wire brush to go inside if you want. Clean everything up. Doesn't have to be 100% straight down to the bare metal. You just need to clean most of the rust off until there isn't anything left. That's it. And you can also clean the inside on the backing plate side if you want to, over here. I'm just going to leave it because I don't see anything there, so it should be okay. I'm just going to sand down here a little bit. So, grab yourself some your favorite brand of brake cleaner or whatever, and then wash it down. Give everything a quick wipe. It's awfully windy today. So now I'm just gonna apply some of the Lucas, the red grease, so that the hub will not seize up in the future. This has been replaced before in the past, so it came out pretty easy, because usually they do not come out easy. You need to heat up the torch in the back to separate the hub from the backing plate. But in this case, it's been replaced before, and I lubricated everything, so it was able to come off easy. You save yourself the hassles. Always important to lubricate everything, especially if you're in the rust belt area. Now we are going to grab the hub and lubricate the hub a tiny bit. So we're going to lubricate the hub here, and where it seats in. You also want to compare the old part with the new part. Just make sure it's the same. And we're also going to clean up the rust from the mounting bolts. So now we're going to put the backing plate back. Just being careful, and install the hub. This one has a longer side at the top and a shorter side at the bottom. The long side goes at the top. It only goes on one way. So align everything up the best you can. Install the hub. You need to wiggle it. Okay, now it's in. Now I'm just gonna grab the mounting bolts. Let me support this a little bit. You should clean the bolts first before you are ready to do the install. Just grab yourself the wire wheel or something and just clean off the rust on the threads. When I cleaned all of the 4 bolts, I'm going to lubricate it either with grease or anti-seize. And if you need to, you may have to replace one or all of the bolts if they are badly worn out. The threads here are a little worn out and damaged. You may have to replace them, but because there are 4 bolts here, I probably should be okay. But it's probably a good idea to replace them if they are the original bolts. So anyhow, I'm going to get all the 4 bolts in before I tighten anything up. So insert all the 4 bolts. Make sure you line everything up. If it doesn't line up, you may have to remove the hub and line it up again. Install the bolts and tighten them by hand first. Make sure they all go into the mounting holes. As you are tightening this up by hand, you'll be able to see that it's going through because you can see the grease is coming out. I lubricated the bolt with grease. Now if you want, you can use some blue thread locker for safety to lock the bolts in, just for safety if you want. So I'm going to tighten up. I'm just going to snug the bolts up, and then I'm going to torque them down to spec. You can work your way in a crisscross or a star pattern to evenly tighten up the hub. And again, this is a 12 millimeter. we are going to tighten it up. So now I'm going to torque these bolts to 45 foot-pounds according to the torque spec. Work your way diagonally, or crisscross, or star pattern, or however you want to call it. And just go through all the bolts to make sure. So that's all there is to it for replacing the rear hub assembly on your 2005 Toyota Corolla. And after I'm going to go for a quick road test after I clean everything up here.